Elena had been living abroad for nearly a year when everything began to unravel. At first, her life looked like progress. She woke early, dressed for work, and crossed the city each morning with purpose. She learned new routines, new streets, new ways of being independent. In the evenings, she would sit by the window of her small apartment, watching the city lights flicker on, believing she was building something real. Then she met Mark. Mark entered her life, quietly shared meals, long conversations, laughter that made the unfamiliar feel safe. Before she fully realized what was happening, they moved in together. Friends would have said it was fast, but Elena told herself she was just being brave, not long after she lost her job. The message arrived on her phone while she was sitting at the kitchen table. She read it twice, then a third time. Her hands trembled slightly as she set the phone down. Mark spoke, but his words faded into background noise. From that day on, Elena stopped sleeping properly. She would lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling while her thoughts ran in circles. During the day, she moved too quickly, cleaning, pacing, talking faster than usual. Sometimes she caught her reflection in mirrors and paused, unsettled, as if she were watching someone else wearing her face. She called her friend Nina back home one evening. Nina listened as Elena spoke in fragments, jumping from fear to hope to panic in a single breath. Nina asked her to slow down. Elena tried. The next morning, Elena packed a small bag. Only documents. Nothing sentimental. She stood in the doorway for a moment, hesitating, then left. She walked through the city without direction. Past cafes. Past parks. Past strangers who didn't notice her unraveling. She didn't eat. She barely drank water. Her phone buzzed with messages she didn't answer. Others she sent and would later have no memory of writing. That night, a friend named Leo let her sleep on his couch. Leo watched her pace the room, speaking in half sentences, her eyes darting as if following invisible movement. He offered food. She refused. Before sunrise, Elena was gone again. Later that day, she wandered into a shopping center. The lights felt unbearably bright. The sounds echoed too loudly. Someone noticed her distress and pressed money into her hand. Elena smiled, thanked them, and walked away. She bought random items, things she didn't need, then handed them out to strangers, convinced it was the right thing to do. To her, every action felt meaningful, necessary. To anyone watching, it would have looked confusing, unsettling. She stayed briefly with another acquaintance, Sarah. At Sarah's apartment, Elena sat on the floor, tracing patterns with her fingers while staring at nothing in particular. She laughed suddenly, then cried just as quickly. That's when the hallucinations began. She heard voices urging her to act. She saw danger where there was none. At one point, she went live on social media, speaking urgently to a camera she barely seemed aware of. Her movements were exaggerated. Her words didn't follow logic. She believed she was on a mission. That something was broken and only she could fix it. She entered a private space, convinced she was repairing something critical. Later, she believed someone was trapped inside a vehicle and tried to help damaging property in the process. She never meant harm. Aggression was never part of who she was. Her reality had simply collapsed. Eventually, she was detained. She cried as they spoke to her, unable to understand their instructions. Her leg was injured. Her thoughts scattered. From there, she was taken to a hospital. Inside, time lost its meaning. Elena wandered hallways until nurses gently redirected her. She resisted restraints out of fear, not anger. She didn't know where she was. She didn't know why she was there. She didn't even know what country she was in. Days blurred together. She hallucinated faces. She whispered apologies to no one. She flinched at sudden sounds. Behind the scenes, legal procedures were unfolding, things she had no capacity to understand. At one point, a nurse placed a phone in her hands and guided her through a hearing. Elena stared at the screen, barely comprehending the words spoken. 3 weeks passed. When she was finally discharged, Elena was thinner, weaker, and emotionally raw. She cried easily sometimes without knowing why. Then she learned her mother had come. Maria had flown across the world searching for her. A handwritten note waited for Elena, saying Maria was nearby and would take care of everything. Elena clutched the paper to her chest and sobbed. Maria took her home. Recovery was slow and uneven. Some days, Elena sat quietly, staring out windows. Other days, she struggled with medication side effects and exhaustion, but slowly, almost imperceptibly, she returned. Today, Elena is stable. She works again. She helps others. She focuses on building a life with meaning. Still, an unfinished chapter lingers behind her. Things she didn't choose. Moments that don't define her character. Consequences born from a medical emergency rather than intention. Sometimes she imagines going back explaining everything, resolving what remains. Other times, fear stops her before the thought finishes. She doesn't yet know what she will do. What she knows is this: she survived. And survival sometimes is the bravest story of all. If you or someone you know is struggling, please know that help is available, and you are not alone. You can find resources in the description below. Thank you for listening. If this story touched you in any way, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Every single animation you see on this channel is inspired by a real-life moment. Real feelings, real lessons, real people. These aren't just cartoons. They're pieces of someone's life, brought to the screen to share a unique experience. If you want to see more true stories come to life through the magic of animation, then you're in the right place. Stick with us, because your support is what helps us continue to share these important voices that truly deserve to be heard. We're so grateful to have you here on this journey with us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.